Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're here with Norska, going to be taking on the Warriors of Chaos in a brutal battle to appease the ruinous powers. So let's go ahead and take a look at the army compositions. In Vanguard, I've got a couple of Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes. Of course, these are the Enraged variant. They are the Norscan variant, so we have Rage here, which is going to be an important factor in just a moment. We've also got some Norscan Ice Wolves and the Beasts of Tashnar here for a mobile wolf squad. We've got some Marauders and Berserkers mixed for the main infantry corps here. Brutes of the Hound in the center. Wulfrik the Wanderer going to be commanding the Norskins. He's got Hunter of Champions, Fight or Die, and the Sea Fang, of course. We've also got a Famir Balefiend Lore of Shadows. You guys will know if you've seen some of my other Norska content, I quite like this heroic core right now. The two aimable wind spells, and you've got Enfeebling Foes stacked with Hunter of Champions, meaning you can really goon heroic units very hard. We've got two units of Famir, one with great weapons, the other is the Regiment of Renown Mist Stalkers, who cause fear and terror, have stock, and of course just a very strong unit overall. And that's pretty much it for the Norskins. Let's go ahead and swap over to Chaos proper here. You can see he's going to be led by Kholek, Sun Eater. In terms of the army here, he's got the Swords of Chaos for a bodyguard, going to be very good in this matchup if your opponent happens to bring stuff that's weak to fire. Otherwise, they'll be pretty solid overall. He's also got a line of Chaos Marauders. These guys, of course, lack the Enrage, but are a bit cheaper as a result. He's got some Forsaken and the Demon Spew, the Regiment of Renown Forsaken, with poison attacks, and the Swarm of Flies ability. A couple of Marauder Horse Masters, which is not a bad pick in this matchup. You typically don't see a whole lot of armor besides Famir, so, you know, non-AP missiles definitely make sense. And he's also got the Weird Spawn and a Sorcerer Lore of Fire. So let's go ahead and kick the battle into full gear. My opponent was definitely expecting some kind of like Skin Wolves or maybe Throg. Throg is a very common pick in this matchup, hence the Lore of Fire, which I totally agree with. Great pick in this matchup. That being said, I haven't brought any units whatsoever that are weak to fire because I know Chaos has a very strong fire-focused army. They can take Archaon, Fire Sorcerers, the Swords of Chaos have fire damage, you know, Chaos Dragons even, like a Chaos Lord or a Sorcerer Lord on a dragon also deals fire damage, so I just figured it was not really worth the risk to try and bring any units which are weak to fire, so we've gone very kind of counter to that and just gone with a huge line of Marauders backed up by Famir, which I honestly think is the way to go here. We've got the Mobile Hound squad as well, and yeah, this Wulfrik the Wanderer, being the true Chad he is, also going to run in there, get some good work done. You can see I'm kind of presenting my front line to my opponent here, hoping that he'll come and start to chew on some different things. I'm going to pull back the Berserkers just slightly so they don't get shot at by the Horse Masters too much. You can see we're doing a little bit of skirmishing in and around, just kind of poking here and there. And I'm actually going to go after these Marauder Horse Masters in melee, I think. Oh, no, just pulling up just short. Oh, no, yeah, we are going to go after them in melee, which if my opponent were to turn around and countercharge, the Horse Masters would easily win that combat. But anyway, speaking of combat, mainline engagement getting underway here. You can see Berserkers running in. The Berserkers will cut through the Chaos Marauders no problem. Even like the Marauder on Marauder here, the Norscan Marauders are going to be quite a bit better because of that Enraged trait. You can see the Demon Spew in here mixing things up, and the Brutes of the Hound are going to get directly into them. So Brutes of the Hound getting a clean charge onto the Demon Spew is pretty much a worst case scenario for them in that match. Meanwhile, we're going to be dropping the Kholek going all out with the buffs here. Cascading Fire Cloak, Star Crusher up to 800 weapon strength. Swords of Chaos also going to come in. We're dropping that Hunter of Champions and the Enfeebling Foe here in just a moment. So, nice Flaming Head going down across the line here, though I am winning the infantry engagement pretty decisively. Obviously, again, the Norscan Marauder is going to be much better, but another wind spell going down there with the what's it called? Penumbral Pendulum. But anyway, Wulfrik took a whole bunch of damage there, but the debuffs, some of them are still active on Kholek. I'm going to get my hounds that were hidden in the woods to get Kholek here. He's overchasing a little bit, so we're going to apply that Frostbite and get him in place and get Wulfrik to safety while we clean up the infantry fight. That's going to then allow the Famir to get over here and get in on Kholek. Of course, the Famir with great weapons in particular with their anti-large bonus going to be quite good here. You can see them waddling over. Ooh, looks like I got a little bit distracted, but Yeah, at this point, because most of the infantry support is gone, it's just the Weird Spawn, the Swords of Chaos, and Kholek fighting in this pocket. It's going to be pretty rough. The Swords of Chaos and the Weird Spawn just don't have the unit models to stand up to all this high DPS. The Berserkers do high DPS, the armor's being sundered by the Weird Spawn, and now the Famir are in here, yeah, the armor's being sundered by the Famir. My armor's being sundered by the Weird Spawn, but that doesn't really matter too much on anything besides the Famir themselves, because they're really the only units with high armor here. The armor sundering is definitely going to be much worse for the Forces of Chaos here, and you can see each unit model of the Swords of Chaos is just surrounded by Hounds and Berserkers, and there's Famir bagging on them, and Kholek still got quite a bit of HP left, but is starting to take some steady damage. We've got some Marauder Horsemen with the throwing axes just pitching in their axes to the side here. Meanwhile, over on the periphery of the battle, we're still chasing around some Horsemasters. Again, if they were to countercharge, we'd probably lose, but still, Hounds coming back from route. Wulfrik just chilling up in the woods, not really any reason to commit him at this point, and risk losing him since we're getting ahead on the balance of power. The Famir are going to get in here and clean up what's left of the Berserkers and the Forsaken that are coming back. Not Berserkers, regular Marauders. The Berserkers will definitely help clean them up as well. You can see the few Demon Spew that remain going to be routing off in relatively short order. The ooh, it sounds like a Sea Fang going down. I did get a Sea Fang earlier that I did not catch, but this one going off, cutting through what's left of those ruinous powers there, the proper Chaos Forces, if you will, and they're going to be routing off once again, leaving Kholek, and this Sorcerer gets terrified. Kholek routes, and now it's just a matter of time to clean up the rest of the Chaos Forces here. So Wulfrik going to go after that Sorcerer, Lore of Fire, and yeah, you can see he's running, but he's not going to be able to get away from Wulfrik, the Hunter of Champions here. And yeah, he's going to get in there, show him the Sword of Torvald, and it's going to be victory for Norska. Kholek's running for the hills. Actually just came back from route there, but we're going to get the Famir Balefiend in there, and these Marauder Horsemasters trying to interrupt this advance a little bit here. But the Famir Balefiend coming through, he's going to sunder some armor for Kholek. Maybe once he gets a hit in, or he just gets booped over. But here come the Famir proper and the rest of the Marauders. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a tough time for Kholek here, and it's just going to be a very uncomfortable situation. He is going to decide that he wants to go back to the Chaos Wastes, and victory for Norska. So well played to my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that battle. It's an interesting matchup, you know, one of the more fun kind of heads up, rush each other and just punch each other in the teeth, you know, kind of matchups. But it's super fun. In terms of the army breakdown here, the Marauder Horsemen did quite well, despite the fact they didn't get many kills. They helped, you know, kind of chase around the Marauder Horsemasters, which my opponent just left on skirmish mode. Again, if he were to have taken them off skirmish mode and countercharged, he definitely would have beat my my Marauder Horsemen. So just kind of food for thought there. The Hounds took a lot of damage, didn't get many kills, but they were mostly used to kind of pin in Kholek and deal damage to him, keep that frostbite on him as much as possible. The real work came from these Famir Warriors. 79 kills, 2 XP chevrons. Super in this matchup. I love the Famir Warriors with great weapons. The Miststalkers, of course, didn't get quite as many kills, but their terror was very key in helping rout off a lot of those Marauders. Forsaken, of course, are immune to Psychology baseline in addition to having Frenzy. They are immune to Psychology baseline, so they won't rout from terror, but the Marauders definitely will. And Marauders a bit of a risky choice, in my opinion, against Norska, because they can bring literally the same unit, but better. It is slightly more expensive, but it is straight up better. That and rage mechanic makes a big difference. So a little bit of a risky pick there, and personally I would go with a little bit of a different build, but we'll get to that in just a minute here. Berserkers did pretty well also, 52, 62, and 42 respectively. Wulfrik came in there, tried to duel with Kholek for a second, and just kind of got slapped, decided, you know, maybe he should just let the Famir do the heavy lifting, pulled back, and the rest was history, as they say. So for my opponent, I do actually quite like the pick of the Horsemasters. I just don't think he used them as effectively as he could have. The Weird Spawn probably don't have a place in this matchup, although I do like them a lot. They're one of my favorite regiments for now. For Chaos, you don't really need the armor sundering in this matchup. Regular Chaos Spawn might be decent, but again, your biggest threat, I think, is going to be Famir. Dealing with Skinwolves, Throg, things like that is not that hard, especially if you have Lore of Fire, which I would definitely recommend bringing. I do think that's a solid pick. Kholek's also a super solid pick as well. Nothing wrong there, although the Norskins do kind of specialize at killing monsters, so it may be worth looking at another Lord, maybe even someone like Sigvald. But just for the sake of today's video, let's go with Kholek here. I'm going to leave Starcrusher at home just because, although the damage spike is nice, yeah, just to make him a little bit cheaper, I'll go ahead and leave that to the side. We will bring Lore of Fire here. I do think that's pretty solid. Cascading Fire Cloak, Flaming Sword of Ruin, and the Burning Head, all super solid choices. Don't disagree with any of that. But where Norska tends to struggle, I find, is with elite tier halberds, because the Fimir can't really deal with them. You can kind of magic them down with like wind spells and other things like that, but it's rough. So let's grab some Chosen with halberds. We're going to get 2 Chosen with halberds to kind of act as the anchor of our formation. And then I'm tempted to get some Sword and Board Chosen, but this is already getting super expensive. So let's instead grab some Chaos Warriors Sword and Board, just to kind of give us some more meat in the front line. Swords of Chaos, not a terrible idea, but I'm instead going to go with the Summoners of Rage because they have proper anti-large and they also deal magic damage. And you do also get that Bound Chain Lightning as well, which can generate some huge value for you. So we're going to bring them. I do like the pick of the Horse Masters, so let's grab a couple of them. And then maybe just to kind of fill out some extra numbers, we do actually grab some Marauders. Again, just to fill out numbers purely. So something like this I could think could be pretty solid against Norska. You could definitely fine-tune some things here. Personally, I would probably cut the Horse Masters and just bring regular Horsemen, just to be a bit cheaper. That would allow you some funds to, say, maybe go in and upgrade one more of these to a proper Chaos Warrior, something like that. You know, you can play with some different things here or there, but generally I think having the core of the Chosen with halberds is going to be better for Chaos against Norska, because again, Norskins tend to struggle with elite tier halberds, and this is true of any faction, be it any faction that has access to them, I should say, be it High Elves, Chaos, or Dark Elves. You know, those factions that do have the elite tier halberds are always a solid choice against Norska. So that's just kind of my 2 cents in this matchup, but let me know what you guys think. What's been your experience playing Chaos against Norska? Let me know in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.